All right, Creating with Collections, Volume 5, featuring Doodlebug's Tinsel Time is finally here. Volume 5 is going to be another collaboration. This time, Lisa over at Life and Layouts is going to be joining me for the entire run of this, and I kind of made the executive decision with this being a Christmas themed collection, as well as Doodlebug just always kind of having beefy embellishment packs and just tons of stuff. I didn't want to get burned out, and I was worried about her getting burned out. So we are actually going to have this go for the entire year of 2025. So instead of doing kind of like a death march through this, we're going to kind of take it a little bit at a time, kind of have the marathon mentality and work on it throughout the entire year and see where it takes us. If you are new to creating with collections, I'm going to do a horrible job and try to explain this. This was sort of a concept that I came up with a couple years ago, where I used to watch a lot of these like Kill a Kit videos when monthly kit subscriptions were a big deal. I didn't order them myself. It didn't fit my like scrappy workflow type of thing. I like more collection type stuff. But I loved watching YouTubers in this community who would order those kits, and they would work through the kit and they would use like every little last scrap, and it was so satisfying to watch. And then it seemed like those were kind of dying out. Not very many people were doing them. The kit clubs were kind of changing, trends were changing. So I wanted to see if I could still kind of have that excitement of seeing things get used up, but see how I could apply it to my workflow, my scrapbook style, my choice of supplies type of thing. And like I mentioned before, I tend to like things that match. I tend to like things within a collection more than mixing and matching and stash typing. So at this point, I'm trying to think which collection I did volume 1 with. They've all been slightly different. I kind of give myself different rules, different parameters each time I do it. And it's usually either what I'm in the mood for or what goal I have kind of in front of me. With some versions of this, I focused on a specific holiday. Some I worked through a specific sketch bundle. All of that, like whatever jumping off point, whether it was a sketchbook, a holiday, I don't stay within that for the entire challenge. I try to find a way for like the first third. I used to tell myself it was the first half until I really kind of started digging into this challenge and seeing that I am a crafter that can eke out a lot from a little. So I had to kind of realize that it's really the first, I would say, third of a kit that I kind of have a really good mapped out plan or something that's taking away a lot of the decisions and giving me more of a guided path, I would say. With this one, I don't really have anything outside of the fact that I'm going back to obviously a themed kit. This is a Christmas themed collection. So I'm going to tackle as much Christmas as I can get through. I think at some point I will try to find a way to do a non-Christmas layout just for fun and just to kind of stretch myself creatively. But for the majority, I'm really just focused on all of the years that I've just been avoiding it. I think with Christmas, there's a lot of work that goes into it as a parent, making sure, you know, your kids are having fun, good memories and stuff like that. If you're hosting, if you're having to cook, there's just a lot involved, and then a lot of pictures, a lot. So I tend to avoid it. I tend to do more like randomly, just like fun things as far as scrapbook layouts. So with my first layout, what I ended up doing was I just opened up a lot of my photos, which I am pretty basic. They're just stored by year and then by month. So I went through a couple different years and Picked some that I knew for sure I had not done the photos for. Got kind of like a loose idea of how many photos I thought I would want to use. I tend to pick the ones that are like my favorites. Could I fit more on a layout? Yes, but I don't know. I just want the emphasis to kind of be on, like in this instance, this is a Christmas morning, so this is my core family. So me, my husband, my kids, our dogs. I want the feeling of that Christmas morning and not just kind of a bunch of photos of, every single gift that they opened. So what I do is I go through, look and kind of see generally how many photos do I think I want to use, and then I just scroll through sketches. I have some saved on Instagram, I have some saved on Pinterest, and then the majority of them are in a Google Drive, and I just kind of start clicking around and looking. I tend to go to the sketch support from Scrapbook Generation first because those are a free resource so that I can link them back for you guys. The one that I picked today is actually from a bundle or an ebook on their website, so that will be linked down in the description. That's another thing that I've kind of been a little bit focused on lately, is going back through some of these digital downloads that I've purchased and looking at some of the sketches that I just haven't played with yet, and kind of picking and choosing some favorites or some ones that I think will fit. When I was looking through sketches, this one had, I think it's 5. Yes, I think there's like 5 large circles that kind of go across this middle section. And then the majority of the photos, as you can see here, are kind of that wallpaper effect with 2 that are kind of be more on their own. So I've picked my photos, I've picked my sketch, I kind of have a game plan. The photos I want to use, the sketch I want to use, and then this is where it's going to get a little weird. Normally when I run through creating with collections, I tend to pick like my favorite pieces first, my favorite papers first. With this one, I had in the back of my mind that I wanted to intentionally reach for some things that, I don't want to say I don't like them, but it's more of like a size thing, or I think in this instance it would be like a shape. I will post the trailer to a scene building class above here that I used a Doodlebug collection with. While I was working with that collection, I noticed that I was struggling with some of the really large die pieces. There, in fact, was a really similar die in the Halloween one to this one in Tinsel Time, where it's like a really big wreath. It's gorgeous. I, for some reason, just could not work it into any of the layouts that I was making at the time. So when I was making this one, I was intentionally reaching for some embellishments, some papers, and things like that weren't my favorite. This is just how personally I try to work some things in. If I always pick my favorite things, my favorite pieces first, my least favorite will always be left for me at the end, and I will be less likely to, kind of want to keep going with this challenge. And this is a challenge that I made it work for me. And then I've had the blessing of a couple friends saying that they thoroughly enjoyed watching me do it and that they wanted to participate in it as well. From my Facebook group and in my YouTube comments, I have heard that this is a favorite series of a lot of you guys, and I'm not sure if you just like watching me go through an entire collection, or if any of you are actually kind of challenging yourself to do something similar. So if you could maybe pause the video here and let me know in the comments down below, because that's something that I don't get in like a one-sided quote unquote conversation like this, where, I'm talking to you guys, I'm sharing to you guys, but I'm not able to sort of hear your take on it unless you leave me a comment. So I did just kind of want to explain where my little jumping off point was. So what I ended up doing was I cut a bunch of circles from the 6x6 pad. I'm actually killing myself because I lost a circle, ended up cutting another one, so I kind of wasted one of the good patterns. One of my favorite patterns from the 6x6. I now have like an extra circle from it. It's fine. That's what I'm telling myself. It's fine. So I cut them with some circle dies. These are really, really, really old from Spellbinders, but these are like one of those basics that I never get rid of when I do a purge. These just kind of stay. I love them. They were all the rage way back when, and I'm still using them. So what I'm doing is just kind of taking each individual circle and figuring out almost not a scene technically, but just a little circular little scrapbook page kind of a thing. With this one, I've got an aqua B-side. I layered some white textured cardstock on top, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch 2 rings, and the inner ring is going to be able to fit one of these smaller circle die cuts, which is another part of the dies that I struggle to use. This, I think, was when I was like, oh, maybe I didn't cut the silver, let me cut another one. Turns out I had already cut it. It's literally, I can see it off. It's literally right there on the left side of the screen with a circle cut out of it. It's fine. So this is one of those things where when you have like a wallpaper style sketch, I try to make the other areas of the layout really interesting because the photos are taking up a lot of landscape, so I don't have a ton of room going on to embellish. So I'm going to embellish these circles. Now, I made sure to tell Lisa, don't send me any sneak peeks, don't tell me what you're using, don't send me photos of your layout when you're done, because I want to see it when her video goes up as well. That was one of my favorite things when I did the version with Sarah Scraps and we ran through Cocoa Vanilla. I loved the excitement that I had when I knew that our videos were going to drop and I could go watch her video and I could see what she was reaching for and hear her thought process on it. And it was new to me, just like it's new to you guys. So I think she might be a little bit mad at me for that, but that's my favorite part, is not knowing what the other person's doing, not knowing what their rhyme or reason to it is, what their plan is, what their paper choices are. I want to be surprised as well. I think a lot of times when you work in collaborations or hops or group projects or stuff like that, by the time the content goes out, you've kind of already seen it. It's not new. It doesn't have the spark. So that spark is like my favorite thing. So I feel like I'm more excited to see her video than to share mine, because I'm just really curious. When we were kind of chatting, she did tell me that she kind of felt like because of this challenge, she needs to use more embellishments. And I was like, that is 100% a normal feeling during this process, especially with Doodlebug, where you've got so much. And after watching her video, I'm pretty sure she probably has double the amount of embellishments as I do, because she loves like the doodle pops, and she likes the 6x12 sticker sheet, and I can't think of what the smaller sheets are, like the icons. I think they're kind of geared more towards like planners, but she has mentioned that she likes having the repeated images doesn't bother her, because she wants the large, the medium, and the small to be able to do what she needs to do. Whereas I feel like I gravitate more towards the papers, but I only bought one pack of each of the papers because I didn't want this to become like a 2-year thing. So I am just picking and choosing some little things to kind of enhance each of these little circles. And then this right here, I wasn't really sure how it was going to go. I wasn't sure if I was going to like it. I mentioned in my kit share video that I bought these little shape sprinkle things. I'm pretty sure they're meant or intended for like shaker cards. I got them basically just to use as like teeny tiny embellishments. So instead of like stacked hearts or stars, I want to try to use these. This one, I think there's the tree, the stars, the candy, the hearts, and snowflakes. So with this little circle here, I think I used everything but the yellow stars. I just kind of forgot about them. Plus I liked this little repeated pattern. So I'm going to use some of the yellow stars over on that other wreath on this same page. But this one I wasn't really sure if I was going to like it. At the end, this became my favorite like element on the page. I think that this was just so fun. I have some other ideas to use these little shapes, and I do kind of like the time saving factor of instead of die cutting a bunch of stuff, which don't get me wrong, we all know I'm going to end up die cutting my life away at some point during this challenge. That's just what I like to do. It's a hobby. It's an addiction. But this was sort of the embellishment that I wanted to kind of challenge myself to use. I did look over on the right page to just kind of see if there was anything over there that I felt like I could add some more. Ultimately, I didn't. I put the leftovers back in that bottle and I was so proud of myself. I thought I had used a lot, and I looked at the bottle and it looks like nothing is missing. So I'm going to be real curious to see how low I can get that bottle by the end of this challenge. So we'll see. I did take one of the taller journaling cards, which was one of the pattern papers, and I cut it and kind of stretched it, knowing that my photos are going to cover the middle. And instead of printing my journaling directly onto that, I just did some journaling strips. I did not use my template and die for this. I just kind of needed quick plus more narrow. I've done journaling strips for so long that if I have a lot of journaling, I use the template and the die. If I don't have a lot of journaling, I'll just do like a quick couple lines, and then it's kind of muscle memory as far as cutting everything out. You do something enough times and it's just, I don't know, you can just do it really easily, which is not good advice for anybody doing journaling strips for the first time. My advice for this is to always just practice. Printing journal, I mean, you could print it a couple times and print it a couple times on the same sheet, and then that gives you some wiggle room for if you cut things and you don't like the way they look, you've got another section, try again. A lot of it is mostly just knowing your paper trimmer really well. So I split my journaling above the photos and below the photos, and I just kind of made sure that when I was typing it out, it was almost like I had one sort of thought going on in the upper section and then a different thought going down in the second section. These photos are from December of 2020, so I did try to continue with the concept of my dark side challenge, where I am trying to kind of plug holes in my 2020 albums and really focus on if I, when I have like an assignment or I have a sketch I want to use, I have new product I want to use, I'm trying to go to my 2020 photos first and quote unquote try to catch up that year. And then eventually I will run out of things to scrap for that year, and I can say that I have 1 year completely scrapbooked. As somebody who stores my layouts chronologically but scrapbooks based on my mood, that is a huge accomplishment and a huge goal that I'm working towards. So that's going to be it as far as everything going on with this layout. Lisa's video is going to be linked down in the description box below, so please make sure that you go and see what her take is, what the things she reached for first with this collection. If you have questions, leave them down below. If you are also participating in this, go head over to my Facebook group, and I'm going to open up an area where we can share our first layout. If you have a video, there will be one dedicated area that you can share your video, and everybody can kind of chit chat about this series and this challenge. So with that, I'm going to leave you guys here, and I hope to catch you next time.